David Bilstrom from the International Autoimmune Institute and the Autoimmune Lifestyle, and this is Did You Know? And we're coming to you on location here once again from Tuscany, outside Firenze, Florence, in Cataldo. And this is our lovely little home in the vineyards, olive groves. Used to be a barn. It was built in the 1400s. And the animals lived on the first floor, people on the second. Now it's kind of been changed and updated. You see the grapevines hanging down. You see the olive trees in the background. Absolutely spectacular, so beautiful. We're here visiting a friend from our days in downtown Chicago, but we're going to talk today about autoimmune disease, celiac disease associated with autoimmune thyroid disease. Very tight connection. When you get celiac, you're much more likely to get autoimmune thyroid, Hashimoto's thyroiditis or Graves' disease, and vice versa. You get the autoimmune thyroid disease, much more likely to get celiac disease. So this one is a study published in the journal Autoimmunity in 2008 entitled Celiac Disease in North Italian Patients with Autoimmune Thyroid Diseases. And they talked about the large number of people with either Graves' disease or Hashimoto's thyroiditis who have autoantibodies being produced, starting to be produced against the celiac testing. Now, it's interesting, we test 4 different kinds of antibodies associated with celiac disease. They only tested one. They tested the TTG-IgA. We always also test the TTG-IgG and gliadin IgA-IgG as well. There's 4 different ones that we like to run. They only tested one, but they saw a significant number of people with celiac disease, significant number of people with autoimmune thyroid disease that had the celiac antibodies already, even though a lot of them were subclinical. There was a significant number of people that had celiac disease already identified by the time they were in the study, and then they had a significant number of people that were identified with celiac disease that was silent, right? You know it's not silent because if you have Hashimoto's, that's a disease, right? That's an autoimmune disease. What are you talking about silent, right? It's like, well, nobody has ever looked. So they recommend that every patient with autoimmune thyroid disease in northern Italy, but it also applies elsewhere, needs to be checked for celiac disease. Now, what you'll find as the expert in your community on reversing and preventing autoimmune disease, the initial labs you're going to run on everybody that has an autoimmune disease that comes to see you is going to be for celiac disease, because so much celiac disease is quote-unquote silent, atypical. 80% of celiac disease, no gut symptoms or minimal gut symptoms, but showing up as inflammation all over the place. So here's a study that says, hey, by the way, if you have autoimmune thyroid, got to check for celiac disease also. And we tend to find if people with an autoimmune disease that don't have celiac disease yet on initial testing, that they're not so good at getting rid of the wheat and gluten. You need to keep testing them, because if they don't start eating wheat and gluten-free and doing the other stuff, they're eventually going to be, really getting the celiac disease. I cannot tell you how many times we've asked people to eat clean, do the couple minutes a night, Insight Timer app, some kind of relaxation. Let's get rid of these vitamin deficiencies. Let's fix other things, get rid of the infections, fix your gut. But they just don't eat clean. They don't follow through. Ever so often, people ultimately develop celiac disease, and it was so preventable because we saw it coming. Our tests, when we do our blood test and our test, we can see why a person has all the stuff they got over the years, right? We'll also see where they're going. And it's always nice to see where you're going long before you get there. Hey, you're going this direction. You don't want that, whether it's diabetes, whether it's celiac disease, whether it's heart disease, stroke, dementia, cancer, all this kind. Plenty of time to turn that ship around. Let's do what they say in this study. Check for celiac disease in your autoimmune patients, but also your patients with multi-organ system dysfunction. See it coming, turn around so they don't even get the celiac disease. Once again, from Tuscany, ciao bella.